Hello and welcome to Keeping Up With Conspicuous. Today we've got the fantastic Joel, who's the co-founder of Cooptimize, with us to talk all things Cooptimize and workers' cooperatives, and really interesting discussion. And I've spoken with Joel a few times about this, and I know a lot of our listeners probably aren't fully aware of what it is. So welcome, Joel. Welcome to the podcast.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
That's all right. That's all. Well, yeah. We'll go straight into it. And I know we met last year at Summit, and I think you had something on the back of your T-shirt saying "Pat me on the back and talk about workers' cooperatives" or something along those lines. I can't remember what it said. But then we sat down, had a coffee, and something I didn't know anything about really either. So it's something that obviously isn't very widely known. So I mean, tell us about your background and kind of how you. I guess let's talk about Cooptimize first, then we'll obviously swiftly move on to the workers' cooperative side. So tell me tell about yourself and kind of your path to founding Cooptimize.
Sure. So I've been in the dynamic space my whole career. So 23 years now. Starting with an implementation, and then you get into consulting, and kind of goes from there. So I had worked with the other co-founder, Eric, at a partner. They kind of went through a messy divorce, and we, split paths. And then I moved on to a new partner, and my old partner bought the new partner.
Oh,
and so and funny enough, it just through whatever the stars aligned, and it actually brought me and Eric back together to working together.
Cool. Yeah.
Except he was my boss and I used to be his boss. So, so when it brought us back together, we kind of looked at each other, and I was just we were talking for like an hour or so, just whatever. About the whole deal. And finally I was just like, do you want to start a company? And he said, yes. And that was it. We're on one simple question and one simple answer where we were off and running. So
amazing.
It was like 3 months from yes to the company's founded, and we are starting business.
Yeah. Well, that's nice, isn't it? I mean, because often you need that. I mean, it sounds like you were kind of destined to be, co-founders of a business, because sometimes I know people found business by themselves. That's very difficult. So it's nice to have someone who you can lean on, that you trust, and how they work as well. And I guess actually, if one of you's been each other's boss, you've kind of seen how each other work as a leader and as the other one's subordinate, I suppose. So you kind of know how each other works. Right? So I suppose that is quite good in a way.
We both knew that we did not want to be the boss. So let's make a company where we don't have to be the boss. That's like one of the founding principles. So
that brings us nicely onto what we're probably going to spend most of this episode talking about, I guess, isn't it? Which is did you guys know about it before when you had that initial conversation? Did you know what it was, or?
So I mean, okay, we named the company Cooptimize, so we knew something. More than zero. But really, within that first month, I'm like, I don't remember if it was Google or Chat GPT 3 years ago, but I'm doing research on just what's an employee stock option program, or how do you give employees stock, or how do you give employees ownership, or what's the difference between a worker cooperative and just profit sharing. So I'm going through all those iterations to see and sort of uncover what the differences are. So it's like pure internet research.
Okay.
To sort of get there. So we knew about the general topics around employees. We knew that we had been in situations a few times at different companies, both of us, where you're there a long time, but if you're not the founder, you can never get quite as important. It doesn't matter the talent or anything. There's just especially at some of these consulting firms, there's a non-founder ceiling that you run into, and you you just get stuck there. And at that point, you either go do your own thing or you stay, at a certain level. And so, but we're not only looking at that for us, we're like, well, I'm not going to make something where the next person who comes along just gets stuck in the same place. Like, what have I created?
Yes.
I just created the same situation where I'm in a different position in the same exact situation, and someone's going to be just as frustrated as I used to be. And then what's the point? Like, why am I doing this? And so that was our sort of the principle is, how do you make something that's just more egalitarian? And it doesn't matter if you were the founder, like, other people can sort of catch up, I guess is how I think of it. And eventually, we're just at the same level monetarily and, from a voting perspective.
Yeah. Okay. That's really good. I mean, because I didn't heard of it until you obviously started explaining it to me. So, I mean, there are a lot of, I think we're having this pre-call as well. It's hard for a lot of people, because it's quite rare, isn't it? I mean, I was looking even before this call, it's quite rare. There's not that many companies in the US that are works cooperatives, and obviously most companies work the traditional way. Shareholders, when times are good, build the teams. Few people make the decisions in the business. When times are bad, get rid of loads of people. That's kind of standard corporate America, corporate Western world way of doing business. So. It's still, because the concept is sensible, but it's still quite rare. But you do get quite large companies that are works cooperatives as well, so it is scalable. So I mean, what are the main? Say someone's listening and they are, I don't know. Let's say someone who's thinking of starting up a business. Let's go with that route first before we go to maybe like companies that already exist. But say someone is starting up a business and they've got the the standard option of I am the owner, or maybe they're starting it with another person. What would you say are the kind of pros of starting it as a workers' cooperative versus the more traditional way of founding a business?
I would I feel like from an employee satisfaction perspective, you're going to be on a whole other level, right?
Yes.
So the pros are so both things are hard. Starting a cooperative is hard, and starting a traditional company is hard, for a multitude of reasons, and a lot of the reasons overlap. There's I would say the pro side is sort of the people side and the colleague side. Hopefully the way you do business and the way you think about doing business changes as you because one of the fundamental things that I was thinking of a lot of money things at the beginning. Like, I want to make it egalitarian, but the part that's sort of changed the way I think is that a cooperative is a democracy. And so you have to think about the decisions in the context of how you think about making, group decisions, basically. In a democracy, is that, people get a vote and they get a say, and people can actually say no. And that stops whatever you're like, if somebody says no, that's, and you can do voting in different ways, but for us, we're 5 people, right? So if somebody says no and you can't come to agreement with 5 people, you're not going forward from there. You're stopping and saying, like, all right, how, what do we need to change? How do we need to get to yes? There's also an interesting kind of a sidebar, but there's a concept of, you don't necessarily have to say yes. Sometimes you can just say, I consent to the direction we're going in. Like, it's kind of a different thing. I may not agree or disagree, but I just okay, maybe you don't care.
You guys. Okay.
I can't remember. So anyways, the whole democratic structure of things, that then starts to bleed into well, how do you manage each other or the company, because there's nothing that says you can't have managers in a cooperative. Many do.
Yes.
The difference generally would be that you elect your managers instead of the other way around. So like it's much more of a bottom up if you need representatives. Again, 5 people, we haven't got into any of that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can just get on a call and make a decision. So it's not, it hasn't gotten to that level of complexity where, you know, we have to sort of start splitting people apart to make decisions.
Okay. And in terms of, you mentioned sort of 5, so from your side of things, then, so you've set up the voting system that everyone has to agree, or does it have to be a majority vote wins, or is it like if there's 3 and 2, say 3 yeses and 2 nos, does that mean the decision still stands, or does it have to be 5 yeses or 4 yeses and a neutral?
Right now, it's just 5.
Yeah,
we just have to agree.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Okay, and then do you have to, and how do you decide? How did you and Eric decide which? Does every, say you want to buy a new printer, does everyone get a vote on what new printer you want to buy, or does it? I guess there's certain things that people just allow someone to do, or how does that work? How does you decide what you vote on?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things you have to get over. No, do you have to? No. Like, I'll just give you for us, like literally our employee handbook says, if you have a decision and it costs less than $500, like just make the decision. So there's a lot of it. There's a lot of autonomy actually involved. And like, there's a lot of, sort of trust building that people are going to make good decisions.
Yeah.
And if you screw up a less than $500 decision, then you have a $500 learning and,
yes,
chance to learn something, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to like, you're not trying, when we're talking about big decisions, it's like maybe like if we were going to hire or, picking the healthcare plan involves everybody. It's such a pain in the ass in the US, but we,
I get that.
Unfortunately, it's just something you have to do. So like we're all involved in that and making sure everybody's getting, something that they want. So it's big stuff, now we cheated at the beginning and still are cheating to this day because legally speaking, me and Eric still own the LLC. And legally speaking, the two of us are the only ones who are allowed to like make changes to the operating agreement.
Right.
Like we would have to sign it. However, everyone has agreed / consented to this structure. Because we've talked about it. We're like, yeah, you can get into like these complicated legal arrangements, but there's trade-offs and there's money involved in doing it. And everyone's just like, okay, fine. You can, let's punt on that. But we all agreed to punt, right? So even the areas that are not equal, you like at least try to give everyone a say in how that is. Now, one of the most fascinating think of this conversation, because we don't all get paid the same amount. We do have a salary and profit share formula. So it's all mathematical. There's no there's no just making up numbers like companies do with salaries.
There's a decision by someone. It's a that's good. Then it's not you decide. It's not your decision to pay someone more. It's just the formula.
But like, every year, kind of our business model is ongoing work with customers. Yeah. So every year we do a price increase and we do a salary increase, hopefully, if we're profitable. Yeah. But now imagine this, you have 5 people on the call. Everybody's getting paid, not terribly different amounts, but they are getting paid amounts. And we're talking about how to change the formula for the next year. That's a fascinating conversation. Like, how do you there's this push and pull between wanting to advocate for your own personal interests, but also wanting to advocate for what's logical and what does the group want to do. it's been one of the weird, it's like a surreal experience from a business perspective. I've never,
Yeah.
And it works. I mean, it works because everybody wants it to work. Like it.
Yes. Yeah. I could see that. Yeah.
And yeah.
I suppose that's the balance, isn't it? And I imagine that workers' cooperatives, as they scale, for example, I'd say, like, I don't know, say a workers' cooperative and there's 2,000 people in it. I don't know how big they get, but you mentioned picking a healthcare plan. Well, that's a nightmare with 2,000 people with all different family medical issues that they're going to be thinking about. That becomes very. I could imagine that becomes very common, but I don't know. I mean, what do say a larger company who is a workers' cooperative wants to pick a new healthcare plan? Do they? Surely they do a majority vote at that point. I'm guessing. Do they just go, here's the 3 plans, you pick the one you like, and the winner wins? Because otherwise, you can't have everyone. Not all 2,000 people are going to agree on one healthcare plan. Surely,
Just get them all on a team.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. A massive game of rock, paper, scissors. 2,000 people.
So I can only, like, I have researched a little bit, but I only have secondhand knowledge. Like, I've never worked in an environment like that. The most famous and biggest cooperative in the world is in Spain, called the Mondragon Corporation, and I think it's north of like 10,000 people. I think it's like 30,000 people in Spain, covering like 20 industries. Like they've just cool. It's in the Basque region, and they're like, now I don't know, they started making bicycles or something, and now it's like they have a university, and you have this money for your cooperative, so let's have a credit union, and then you have to like you keep like the business cycles are sort of like become internal to your cooperative in some senses. So but I think for them, like, I think they have, elections for things like board of directors and, managers and those kind of things. So I think it becomes more of like a representative democracy than a direct democracy when you get to a different size. Interestingly, so one of the things I learned, because I had the same question, I'm like, okay, I hate hierarchies. I don't want to be anybody's boss, and I don't want a boss. So I don't ever want to be placed on an org. I don't want my face on an org chart.
Yeah.
What happens? Like, as like one of my questions, like, okay, what happens when you, like, at some point you can't just have everybody on a free for all, right?
No. Yeah.
But it turns out that there are like entirely different theories of business management as well that don't have anything to do with cooperatives, but there's like concepts of like managing your business as a network of like circles instead of a triangle of, like a decision tree.
Yeah.
So there are like, I haven't experienced it firsthand, but at least I have the knowledge that it is possible. And, and there are like very prescribed ways of making decisions in ways that, like, I think are probably more effective than, I don't know, if you think about how a decision gets made in a hierarchical organization, it's not the epitome of like smooth operating. It's still all these meetings and like there's all.
We often have, Well, you've often got a few people making decisions as well, haven't you? So you're maybe limited in your idea sharing because you're relying on as you go up the tree, as the decisions get bigger and you go up the pyramid, you're relying on less and less people to make more and more important decisions.
Yeah.
So which is how most businesses work, because you're relying on their experience and, they've been there, done it. So therefore, we trust that they will make the correct decisions. But you are, in theory, relying on less brains to make more important decisions. So it's
not that, just like if we go to the healthcare example, like it could be that one of your newest employees might unfortunately have the most knowledge of how the healthcare system works.
Yeah.
They may know every angle,
true.
and they may be able to talk about it in a lot more depth than like, because I got into this stuff and I'm just like, I just hate it, whatever. But I don't want to beat that topic to death, but like, but so it's like, it's trying to recognize that we all have skills. We have things that we do that other people don't do.
Yes.
And, you know, I have an accounting background, so I cook the books for Cooptimize and do a couple journal entries and those kind of things, just because it's fast and easy. So, but over time, we try to share as much as we can in the running of the business. So that's another thing that's unique, is we're trying to teach everybody, or teach each other, like how to run a consulting firm and how to read a financial statement and how to project how much cash flow you have till you go bankrupt. And what would we do if we lost a big client? And like, you're trying to talk through all of these business issues. Just to make your whole business stronger.
Yeah. That's good, isn't it? You've got a lot of super high level of collaboration because everyone's in it together, and everyone's like really is in it together because everyone gets a vote as well. So it's not like an ESOP program where everyone gets a profit share. They still sort of, a lot of decision making is delegated, isn't it? You know, they hope, I guess you hope you'll get a profit, you know, some bonus at the end of the year, but I guess in your business, everyone has the ability to act on it as well and really drive profit, I suppose, you know, depending on how well they do.
Yeah. And I just, one caveat. So I've been talking about it, that everyone gets a vote. Technically, well, not technically, like normally in any cooperative or any worker cooperative, you come in as an employee and you become a member. And there's like some standard conditions you have to meet for membership, but it's open to everybody is the idea. Right. So technically not everybody gets a vote. Again, when you're as small as we were always like, we're not going to leave. We're not going to have 4 people on the call instead of 5. It's just goofy.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to like use that philosophy. But I did want to make the distinction, because it's hard when you start a business. You're like, well, what if I hire 3 people and then they just overrule me and they say we're going to liquidate the bank account? Like what? Like, you can get into all kinds of weird scenarios in your head. And I just want to mention it because like there are protections of like sort of growing into things. And like I said, there are protections because we've cheated in how we legally organize the company, because you don't know, like, what if I put something into the operating agreement that's like, you could theoretically write a voting system that makes it impossible to proceed with some topic. Like, and then what do you do? Like, if you have yourself stuck. So that's like, it's the stuff you don't know. That, I guess my point is, there are ways to work around those things, to work around those concerns. And it's not all just like kumbaya, everybody, I got a new hire and we're all like, it's a process. It's a constant process of like trying to, make it better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is great as well. I guess the companies, has there been examples of companies that have gone from the traditional model to a workers' cooperative? Is that something that's happened before? Or?
It's very common. There's actually there's a LinkedIn page you can follow called Project Equity. Their focus is on business conversions. So people are retiring and they basically want to give/sell the business to their employees. So you can go from like a traditional capitalist firm to a cooperative just through that process, instead of selling to some third party.
Yeah.
So I would say that might be more common than startups, is like existing businesses. I can't I don't have any hard numbers around that.
Yeah, that's interesting model, isn't it? To be fair, I guess I understand that as well, because in theory, as a business, you've built up you built up a team of employees that you like, so you trust that they'll run the business well, so it's in safe hands. So you're not giving it to a PE firm to completely strip it and sell it on and have a load of unhappy staff that you generally quite like. In theory, they were with you for a long time. So
yeah,
that's I can see that. And yeah,
there are a lot of employee stock option programs also come out of that, because there are tax advantages to selling your business that way. So you can sometimes you can pay for the buyout just with your tax savings of sort of giving it to the employees.
Yeah. Well, I like that. It's like handing it down to your children, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a nice way of doing it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is there any, in terms of, the cooperative model I don't know, might be unique. I don't know. Are there any other Dynamics partners that do, or any other sort of software companies that do work as cooperative? I guess there are a few software companies, but maybe not in the Dynamics space. But have you seen it much in software and Dynamics?
So I've seen a few consulting firms. I haven't heard of any in Dynamics directly yet. We have, there is a new Power BI firm that's going after be a cooperative. They're a startup of one right now. So
yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody to cooperate with yet, but it is like happening. Here's a thought experiment though, because if you are going to do a specifically for consulting firms and like how the startup costs work, I would argue that a cooperative should be the default. To me, like that is the correct model for a consulting firm. When you have lots of, basically high level people who are selling themselves.
Yeah.
I think it works really well for that model. I know a lot of times partners complain about, oh, my people are leaving, and I'm like, well,
yeah,
there are answers to that. I mean, and it's not like a panacea of answers. I don't want to like oversell it, but I would just I would sort of flip the script and say, why not? Why wouldn't you organize a business of high level consultants this way? Other than you just want a bigger boat, like, okay, if that's your jam, then fine.
Yeah.
But if it's about like, I want to start a company who does quality work and works with people for a long time and they're happy and those kind of things.
Why
your not?
Money. Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree. It works very well, doesn't it? Because your money comes from having good people that you bill out to customers. So in theory, it works really well for anything like a consultancy or a law firm. Those are these are you get paid solely on your employees' time. That's exactly how it works. You bill out an hourly rate, and then you've got various support staff that I guess go down on the balance sheet as a cost, but they're all there to support the business. So the principle of it, you're right, it's perfect for a works cooperative because you are the resource. It's not like you've got a car to sell. You are the money. Your time is the money.
There's a very direct relationship. I think like some companies that I've worked for, different people in companies kind of view consultants as just like replaceable. Like, we lose one, we hire one. And I don't, I just don't agree. I think it's very unique, and putting a team together is unique, and it takes many, many years for people to gel, including us. So I think longevity is a huge advantage over other companies.
Agreed. Well, and your customers, suffer, don't they? In that kind of in what you've just described, where companies treat their consultants as that's when they lose customers, because generally the customers will want to work with good consultants. And obviously in your case, you're not going to leave your own company. so
yeah,
your customers are always going to work with you. If they want to speak to you, they're going to be able to get hold of you because you'll always be there. You're right. The problem is you lose, in theory, a company loses a really senior level person. Well, then that new company that's hired them has that person's knowledge is gone, and that person's relationships with that customer have gone. So it's a problem long term. You can't. It's hard to build a nice client base. You might be able to build it, but you might not keep it if you're going to let go of a lot of good people. So, you're right. Mate. Well, who knows? Maybe we've changed the dial post. Maybe this conversation will. Everyone will start thinking differently when they, starting a consulting company or are a consulting company, and they think, well, hang on, why don't we do it the way that Joel and Alex said? So, which would be great. And are there any? I mean, are there any reasons you mentioned? Project equity. I think I saw another page. There's like a membership association, isn't there, of cooperatives? I think I saw. Is there any other places that people could do research on this kind of business structure?
So a couple of places. So there's an organization called Democracy at Work.
Okay.
They're more focused on the democracy side of things. The United, I'm going to butcher their name, the United Federation of Worker Co-ops. Or is it the United States?
Yeah. US Federation of Worker
United States Federation.
Yeah.
They have a lot of good resources for people at different stages of learning about this stuff.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Call me. I've talked to message me on LinkedIn if you're interested in doing a startup. We had people who helped us and gave us free advice when we started, and I'm happy to pay that forward. Like, I've had lots of conversations with people who are thinking about it or, who have done it. So I'm happy to share any knowledge and answer those questions. I don't know everything, but I know like about 3 years more than most people. So like in consulting years, that's like a uber expert, I guess.
That's great. Well, definitely. Anyone watching wants to find out, definitely reach out to those organizations Joel said, and also reach out to Joel himself as well. Because as I say, we sat down over coffee and talked about it, and there's loads of interesting things to delve down, and it's really interesting when you start thinking about it in terms of your own business, your own people, your own structures. That's when it becomes really interesting, and it's just an option that most people, like we said, at the start, don't really know about. So there's some really good information out there, and like Joel's an expert. Don't let him tell you otherwise. He's an expert. So, now, one more thing we always ask at the end, which now I don't know in terms of. So if you weren't doing what you're doing, I know you love what you do, but say you're something outside of software, and you have your dream job, that wasn't anything to do with dynamics or data. What would it be if it wasn't what you're doing?
I have to go outside technology because
maybe no, you don't have to. I suppose you don't have to go outside of technology.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I do know, like, this whole cooperative concept, and even some of it has tentacles into politics a little bit.
True.
Joel's not a politician. He would be the guy, like, you could watch the clip of on YouTube of his political campaign failing. But like, just the cooperative movement and like being more involved in that, I would totally, dedicate more time to that. If it were an option. It's been, it's like I said, it's changed the way I think. And that was the unexpected part. Like I thought it was going to just, be the manifestation of my thoughts. I didn't really expect like it to actually like it make me sort of question things that I had assumed in the past. It's
brilliant.
It's been really interesting.
Yeah, that mindset shifting, I think definitely is you're right, because we're taught a certain way, aren't we? When we start working, we work in a what we see as probably the only way or one of the only way. We don't know really. We're not really taught. We're not aware of this. It's not taught at school, is it? That's for sure. So we're no one really. Maybe in business school they teach you about it. I don't know, but in
no, not one day on worker cooperatives. It's all like, it's all somebody founds the business and they own it, and then like it just goes from there. Like you just like it's the same kind of script every time. We've done a lot of other just like innovations in how we deliver to customers, and it's fascinating to me how many people just copy and paste the exact same business model in our consulting circles.
Yes.
And then say we're so unique because we do this slight variation on what everyone else does. And it's like, no, you're really like, I mean, some are better than others, I'll say that, but everyone's really just copying from everyone else and kind of doing the same thing. And that's, I don't know. I think there's innovation to be done in how we run businesses.
Oh, definitely. Well, there's also, and what a great thing that you and Eric have done then to have founded a business and, and do it the way you've done it. And like I say, maybe you're the front runners in this space, which obviously is, unique and gives you a unique message to your customers. But what's nice about the way that, you come across is that you want people to think like this as well. You're looking to share your ideas. So that's great. You're looking to, like you said, you'd love it if every consultancy was working this way because it's a nice ethical model. So it's fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, we don't have any. Our employees are free to. I don't like the term "our employees." My colleagues and I are free to share whatever we want. Like, and that's not like customer information, but like whatever we want about the business and. We also don't have any non-competes. If somebody wants to leave, Godspeed. If you want to steal our customers, we should have done better. Like,
I
don't have time to, to restrict, workers from having a good living. So like it still should apply to after somebody leaves.
Yeah. Well, that again, that's, pretty unique as well, and that you want people to succeed. And that's a really nice thing to have, that you're, and I was talking to a few business leaders and they actually take pride in that. If someone does start a business and forms a business, then they go, right, well, that's great. I created more leaders, I created more free thinkers, so it's, nice. I was at a conference the other day and I was sat next to someone and it was a recruitment conference and he said, oh yeah, that guy over there, he used to work with me. He started a recruitment business in the same space. That guy over there, he also used to work with me. Also started a recruitment business. But he was like proud. He was like proud of it. He's like, oh, it's great. They're doing, they're doing their own thing. And I don't know the reasons they did it, but they would have had their own individual reasons at the time as to why they started businesses. But it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something to be proud of, to go right, okay, they've achieved these things. I helped them get to where they want to be. So it's not there's plenty of business to go around, so it's nice to share it with people that you've helped teach and that have worked with you. So no,
we haven't had to worry about it yet. We've only hired, so.
Oh, there you go. Well, you're doing a good job then. That's great. No, well, it's again, like everyone watching, please reach out to Joel and those resources. We'll put links to them as well. And some really good ideas, and there's lots in this. We've never done a podcast like this, but there's as I say, there's just knowledge, that Joel has that other people don't. So it's really good to thank you very much for coming on and for letting me pick your brain on this. And we will, I'm sure, see each other at the various conferences throughout the year, and sit down again to talk it through further. But anyone listening, reach out, and thank you very much for coming on, Joel.
Thank you. And I will mention I will be at Dynamics Minds at the end of May in Slovenia. So if anybody's going to that and wants to connect, please do. Thanks for having me. This was great.
Yeah, thanks, Joel. It's great to have you.
Bye.